Gaeilge Weekly is brought to you by Learn Irish Online. For way more shows, videos, podcasts, and courses for learning the language, head to learnirishonline.com or patreon.com/learnirishonline.
You've been the best of times, you walk me through my darkest days. Why must I turn around? I ask myself. This just ain't fair, so hard to bear. I'm not really sure these days. You walk away, you don't
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Mods and what? Trononama, how are we doing? Conas Atomwoods on Ceisteanna Show. Very happy to be back speaking to you as always on Sásta a bheith rash ag labhairt live. Agoni is privilege, Dumsa Gandos, gach seachtain. It's a privilege for me, without a doubt, definitely every week chun a bheith in on. Is dócha a bheith mar chuid bheag de the hail. To be a small part of your life every Wednesday or whenever you get around to listening to this on Norvín's chance agad éisteacht leis an so. Sure, how was all? Conas atá gachrod. Everything good here in Seville. Tá gachrod gama and so is Seville. Had a little day trip there to the beach on Sunday to escape the heat. Bhí thurs agam an sin an Daonach chun éilú as an chocht an seo is Seville. So I had it about an hour and a half west, let's say, towards Portugal, chuig na ports in Gaeilge, to a little place called Isla Cristina. Got áit beag dar bhanam Isla Cristina, which isn't actually an isla, an island, Ilan, mar a dearfa as Gaeilge. Maybe it was back in the day and they've reclaimed the land to link it, but it's just a normal town. Ní lan ag baile, gná bhaile, really an sin an chungrach the Churin, the ports in Gaeilge, very close to the Portuguese border, maybe about 10 or 15 kilometers away, beidir 10 no 2 kilometer dig on Suran. And it was lovely to just be able to get away for a day. It's always way cooler down by the coast. Like I'm talking 7, 8, 9 degrees cooler than it is up here. So when you're there, 7, 8, 9 game Celsius níos cho an seo is Seville, ná mar bhíonn sé an Gcosta. So that was lovely. But of course, being Irish, heading to the beach, south of Spain for a day, what do you think happened? Of course, a bit of sunburn. A bheith de éireannach ag dulgdín trá in éasca na Spáine, I lór an tairí, cad a Harlíon, beagnaín dó graina. But sin cearcha lór, a bit of sunburn. A Spanish friend said to me, oh, just why don't you put on more sun cream? Or like, well, you know, it's not an issue. So, well, easy for you to say, you know, éasca ditse le rá. I think as an Irish person, if you go to the beach in hot weather, it's damage limitation is what's in question, you know, damage limitation sin cadatá ag éist. Like, yeah, you can put on a load of sun cream is féidir leat neart uachtar graina a chur earth. As well as that, chomhpháirtíocht sin, you can try and stick in the shade all day. It's féidir leat fanacht, so scá an lá fad. But one way or another, you're going to get a bit of a burn, whether it's walking to and from, you know, the car, ag siúl, chuig an chór, ag sigteacht arás, being in the water, the sun cream comes off, no shade in the water, of course, de gná, ní léon scá, san uisce. So thankfully it's not too bad. I've definitely had a lot worse. I've had some brutal ones in the past. An neart cín uafásacha agam river shot. I was in Greece. I probably spoke about this on the podcast this week last year. Ceapan go raibh mé ag labhairt faoi seo, nó seans maith go raibh mé ag labhairt faoi an Tseachtain so an Nuri. Because I think it was this week last year that I came back from my holidays from Greece and I got probably the worst sunburn I've ever had over there. Seans maith go fór mé an dul graine is massa a fór mé in a hail hall on sin. So this one nowhere near as bad, mainly just the arms a bit. And yeah, it was a bit sore this morning when I woke up. We said buganin pinver or madsen nor hushime, but 2 ibuprofen on the hatch, got ibuprofen, tolka, agam, and sure, after half an hour, you don't feel anything. It's amazing how strong ibuprofen and paracetamol does painkillers are. Tá sé dochredsa ceich láidir agus atá siad, but of course, well, I don't know anything about the science behind them. Níl clú agam, you know, ein rud maidir leis an óilíocht tíobh here though, but I guess you probably shouldn't be taking them too often, just when you really need them to get on with your day, just near atá siad actually tastal watch. So I try not to overuse them. Sure, tolerance and all that, and you know, with anything life, what comes up must come down. So you have to be careful with that stuff. Because Olaine ruds the sail, Cada hen, well, ní fears that really é sin astrú what goes up, what goes down. Ach, you know, tá éifeacht ag dul an sró eile. There's an effect going the other way. Is, I suppose, for anything that you do take that helps you out in rud a hógan tú a bhín ag cabhrú leat. But apart from that, all good. Seach sé sin gachard come out. And I suppose on that topic about going away there for the Sunday, we just did a day trip, didn't even stay overnight, just Thursday. A bhí I gceist ní raibh muid ag fannacht tharaithe, weren't staying overnight or anything like that. But I suppose that's kind of the topic of the show today. Stocha go sé sin soch an topic atá I gceist agam inniu le haigh on show is I want to speak a little bit about Andalusia. So to make your large beginning foin Andalúis, that's the official translation for Andalusia in Irish. Sin an tastragán ofagul Andalusia. So Gaeilge on Andalúis, the Andalusia. But I normally don't use it. I just prefer using Andalusia. I feel like it's a bit of a forced translation. I suppose like a lot of foreign places, there are official translations for it in Irish, but just more natural often just to say it in English, and nothing wrong with that. Ní léanrad mícheart le sin. So I want to talk a bit about Andalusia. If you may Gary Lart's beginning for Andalusia, a lot of people may not know what Andalusia is. I'd say about 50% of people will listen to this podcast, 50% of people won't. Beidir heart their la Ginadini ag éisteacht leis an bodchur le seo. Ba is agah cadatá I gceist le Andalusia agus la Ginadini la agah ní bhaid is agah cad atá gceist. What Andalusia is basically cadatá gceist le Andalusia. But in Spain, basically, the 17 regions, or comunidades, as they say here, 17 communities. In the same way, we have 32 counties at home. Well, it's a bit different because they have counties within the comunidades, but let's say roughly the 17 kind of provinces or whatever you want to call them. Suspán tá hartar seacht province jig. Suspán, I know the word for province is cuaga, but I don't like using that because, and this is a fun little fact for you, so it's fact, spriol and so. It's, okay, why is it called cuaga in Irish? Cén fá a dermod's cuaga, mar hapla cuaga chonacht, cuaga ola, cuaga na mún, cuaga lion. Squelga cuaga, tagan sé ó cuig, the number on liver 5. It's because back in the day there were 5 provinces in Ireland, because Meath was also a province. Bhí an bhí mar province no mar chuaga ag an an. But of course then that doesn't translate really that well for province in other countries, so I don't like to use any matlam and focal in úsáids an nummercha. So an Andalúis, ní bhíonn mé gur an Andalúis, ní bhíonn mé rá cuaga. Ach dermod cunde, okay? Let's say cunde, okay? Tá seacht gunde déag an seo sa Spáin, the 17 counties here in Spain. Smar hampla by a lán cín ólas agah hana féin. You'll already know a lot of them, probably Catalonia, Tirnamascoc, the Basque Country, Cantabria, Asturias, Galicia, sin an ceann le Beidir Nasc Celtic is mó, maybe the one with the biggest, I suppose, Celtic connection. That's Galicia, up there beside the northern border with Portugal, who's an sin sa túisceart in aice leis an trórán leis an Bortingale. Agus chomhpháirtíocht sin, the Madrid region, the Valencia region, sin na Hannacha atá orthú. That's the names that they're called. Basically just La Comunidad de Madrid, La Comunidad de Valencia, the Valencia community, the Madrid community, Murcia, couple of ceann eile fiodons, Extremadura, probably the forgotten one, along with Murcia, kind of like Leitrim at home, because there's some Leitrim arás in Éireann. Some people question whether it even exists, but I suppose you'll have that in any country. My Italian teachers always tell me there's a few areas like that. In Italy, tá cúpla ceantar cosúla sin, sa nidal cosúla sin, you know, dearan daoine on fear arts, isha or herb, is this even a real place? So you might be thinking, why in the world is this podcast coming out on a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday like usual? Well, that's because it is the free week on the LIO membership via Patreon. All the member shows and all the members' benefits are available to everyone this week. One of those benefits is you get Gaeilge Weekly 24 hours ahead of time. Also, down below in the description, there'll be a link for a Google Drive or a Google Doc. That'll have PDF for this specific episode, the specific version of Gaeilge Weekly. It'll have the most complicated words and vocab used as well as their translations. As an LIO member, you get that every single week. But more importantly, you get access to the member-exclusive shows. Éisteacht, Egastrú, Learish, Topic Breakdown, Líofa, Smuointí Saharn, and so on. The best available shows for any Irish learner, regardless of your level. They're coming out for free throughout the week over on YouTube, and also on Thursday there'll be one podcast-based show that'll be available on YouTube, but also here on the Gaeilge Weekly feed on Spotify or wherever you listen to the podcast. If you're interested in signing up, you can sign up for another 1 week free trial at Patreon, and then after that it's €7 a month plus VAT from then on. Patreon.com/learnirishonline, or just go into the Patreon app or website and search for Learn Irish Online and you should find us, no problem. As always, any questions, issues, give me a message on Instagram, Learn Irish Online, or an email, liam.learnirishonline@gmail.com. What other ones would people know? Aragon, so sin an ceann in Will. Zaragoza, mar hapla, agus piece of Gin Pyrenees. You have Navarra as well. That's where Pamplona is, for example, and where the San Fermin Festival is on this week, the Bull Run. So Navarra sin an áit. No, on Cunday in a will Pamplona, agus on Féile de San Fermin, on Sachtan Seo, agus on Bull Run, agus mar sinter. So a few people are in hospital because of that, but I guess that's not really a big surprise if you look at what they're doing. Ní ina no intas mór é sin maicin tú cadatá siúlachah. But the biggest community or Conde county is Andalusia. So if you've ever been to the south of Spain, you've been to Andalusia. Mas rudé go raibh tú I Éasca in Spáine, bhí tú in Andalusia. Shacus Murcia, I suppose, is a kind of south of Spain, and that's its own province, the Murcia, mar a chun na hain, agus tá sé sin tíomh muid Andalusia. But everywhere else, Malaga, Marbella, Torremolinos, in odds on sin, so it's holiday makers places there on the Costa del Sol. Córdoba, Seville, Cádiz, Jaén, Almería. So sin iad na háitna is mógus na háitna na cachracha is mó arénos tíomhaiste de Andalusia. In terms of size, mad le cécomh mór agus tá sé mar an chunna is mó. So Spain, Gaeilge, and even in terms of population, I'm sure it would be up there as one of the biggest, probably not as big as the Madrid, because Madrid is huge, and Catalonia, obviously, with Barcelona, but definitely up there in terms of the biggest population. I might have a look at that, actually, Spain community population quickly. Unfortunately, I don't have a Jamie like Joe Rogan here, or in Sochor Neil Jamie, Agman Shukasula Joe Rogan. No, it does have the biggest population, 8 million actually, more than Catalonia and Madrid. So the biggest in any way you really want to count it, apart from maybe the economy, definitely not the strongest economy. As at 17 Shacus an economiacht, Gandal Nilse mar an economiacht is larger on seo sa Spain, that would be Catalonia or Madrid for sure. But anyway, I've spoken a bit on the podcast before. If you make Laurts in Budker le River Fui Seville, agus Keikov Gatha, agus atá me le Seville, how obsessed I am, or really into Seville, how really into Seville I am. Does that make sense in English? More or less. But I've also spoken about Spain and the early episodes, Barcelona, na Hagron, is luchas dócha bhí mé glabhart faoi Barcelona gcónaí mar bhí mé imachónaí in Barcelona an sin. I was living in Barcelona at that time. But I've never really spoke about Andalusia, the region. You know, outside of Seville, what else is there here? And the answer is quite a lot. Cad eile atá agin an seo, agus an freagra atá agam, so even though ima hiram sé rénos, in my opinion, tá alán rudí le fálan. I suppose you have those moments every so often, and I kind of had it on Sunday. Stocha being the nomad sin, agus na hamantí sin, agat oam gaham, a turn to, wow, how lucky am I? You know, tá an tád zargarm, hon a bheith imachónaí an seo, or it doesn't have to be where you're living, you know, ní caithí sé a bheith buint leis an áit ina bhfuil tú I a chónaí. But even just, I guess, your life situation could be your job, could be the friends you have, could be the partner you have, seans go muinneann sé leis na gcóirde atá agat, nó an post atá agat, nó the fortsaí, your partner. Ein rud mar sin, anything like that. And I kind of had that on Sunday, just going again in the car. Actually, cool, again, side story, and I will get to my points in a sec. So tá agam go déan mé she's a long tangents to ruler Gaeilge Weekly. I know I always go down a lot of tangents in the show, but I think compared to other people, I'm at least good at getting back to the original point always. So like filu aras on mun foinsa igoni. But we went down in this thing called BlaBlaCar on Sunday. So Humids go Isla Cristina, the shart there, or Gale, no, or Jet Nomad, better about an hour and a half, or even an hour 10, hour 15. Oh, Seville, from Seville. And there's this thing called BlaBlaCar. I don't think it's back in Ireland. Ní cheapan ghil se le fáil in Éireann, but it would be a great idea. A smaoinúint a bheith chaun dá méid sé in Éireann. Maybe it is, I don't know. Sean ghil se ach ní cheapan. Ireland's, again, like Uber and stuff, just sometimes won't let those things enter the country. Ní ligan rialtas na Éireann is tócha don rudí sin teachtas teach chuig na tíre. But anyway, we went in a BlaBlaCar. The way BlaBlaCar works is, let's say if you're driving from Seville to Malaga, for example, mar hampla má tosig tamans ó Seville go Malaga, and you're on your own in the car and you've got 4 empty spots or free spaces, let's say the car spás sir agat, you can put that ride up on BlaBlaCar. Ride sounds so American. I did that in the Ní Simplí version as well. Rinne mé é sin, so like Ní Simplí freshen. Ach tá tosin on car spás in the sheep, in your lift or in your car, in the chur, a chur le fáil BlaBlaCar, and let's say I don't have a way to get down to Malaga the weekends and I need to get down there, I can book one of those spaces and I can go in the car with you. So you're driving, I don't know you, and it's like booking a bus, but you're just going into a car. And it's normally a bit cheaper than the bus as well. Ná bíonn sa Bígí Sira ná on bus. Now, I've heard a lot of different stories of BlaBlaCar. Some really fun. You get along with the driver really well. And normally it's a few different people, a mix of, different people, because it could be 4 people who don't know each other. Chance má go mai sé cahar no cougar nachhfuil aithne acub ar a chéile. And, you have good crack and you get to know someone. You might get, you might meet your future wife or husband there. San school to hon at the van chéile no the ar chéile is toch aithne a chur orthú on sin sa BlaBlaCar. You could have magical stories. And I've heard of others, or the one recently of friends, they got a BlaBlaCar in the morning to somewhere and got a BlaBlaCar with a different driver the way back in the evening. So for sheet BlaBlaCar or Madsen bids are gní clug or Madsen gotí an trá to the beach. Agus for sheet BlaBlaCar le Tomani different with a different driver on sin Frenona. And just by chance, both of them ended up talking about how things were better in Spain under Franco. Bhí an bhirt acu beag leabhart faoi, an chuí ar a rudí níos fearr sa Spáin le Franco chuig go bliain ó him, which isn't a commonly held view in Spain. I mean, maybe 20% of the population, maybe less believe that. Beidir fiche fungéid den daonra, bhíonn sa the credsú I rudaing cosúla sin, ach ní mór an daoine, not a lot of people. But yeah, just by chance, and both of them kind of had to listen to a lot of pro-Franco rhetoric, I guess, throughout the journey. Via éisteacht le lán pro-Franco rhetoric in, Sevillano Spanish or Andalúis Spanish. An Spanish leis an gnáthluas nó ní gnáthluas ach an blas Andalúis an seo agus tá sé sin gandát mar an blas éasca le tuiscint an sa Spáin. It's probably the hardest Spanish along with maybe the Canary Spanish. Is it the Canary Spanish or is that the easiest? But definitely the one here is one of the hardest, if not the hardest. Tá an Spanish an seo in éasca na Spáine mar ceann sanna stocha na cinál Spánis. It's Jack le tuiscint, definitely one of the toughest Spanish within Spain to understand. There's a few in South America as well that are quite tricky, such as Chile. Tá an Canúint nó blas. Tá sé níos cosúla Canúint, really. It's more like a dialect in Chile. And Jack le tuiscint Dominican Republic agus mar sin, but that's a topic for a different day. So you can get different characters, of course, at different experiences. But overall, it's a cool service. Like for going to Malaga, for example, Dul go Malaga, it's not really worth it in FUA because there's loads of buses going anyway. But to go to a small town, which the buses wouldn't be going to from Seville, from here, Seville, you can get a bus to Ronda, to Malaga, to Granada, Cordoba, Faro in Portugal, like sin really. Má tá dúig dul go baile if you're going to a town and somewhere on the beach, which is normally where you want to go on the weekends. Then it's a bit trickier. Tá sé bíonn níos deachar, so BlaBlaCars are brilliant if you don't have a car yourself. Mana bhfuil cór agat de féin because they're way too far away to go in a taxi. They're over an hour away normally. Te ná tógann sé níos mó ná or clig chun sreicú an áit to arrive to the place. So Anyway, we went down to this place called Isla Cristina on Sunday. Humans go dtí an áit seo Isla Cristina. I guess just throughout the day, rihan lei. Agus go mala sin ag tamán rás driving back and the sunset, and you come back, especially in Europe, but you get it in Ireland as well, sunshine and lína graina, sunset, golden hour and all that, thinking, wow, I'm lucky to live here. And Andalusia, kind of realising, wow, so lucky especially to live in this part of Spain. Tá an tá orm chuna bheith I mo chónaí san áit seo sa Spáin. And I guess the last kind of 12 or 13 minutes of this podcast will be a bit of a promotion. Someone joked to me a few weeks ago, they said the Spanish tourism board pay you for the podcast. I mean, Spanish tourism board ag íoch a thurgaid ditch hon, stoch ag hon cur hon cían a dhéanú son na Spáine to do promotion for Spain, because you're always speaking about how cool it is here. And I hope people understand when I'm talking about how much I love my life here in Spain. I'm not saying, oh, Ireland's crap. And I love Ireland and I plan to move back to Ireland someday. But I like being positive. I'm looking forward to going home to Ireland in a few weeks, for example, to make mBéarla dullarás. Get here in a gallon couple shot, and I hate negativity. People saying, oh, in Ireland you can't do this, you've no way of buying a house, you've no way of doing X, Y, Z. Positivity, and just amazing things. There's so many things. They're actually talking about it with the driver on the way back from Meg Lauert's beginning leis an Tomani an slí arás agus bhí seisnig tuairt amach frí rudí cúpla rud sa Spáin. He was giving out about a few things in Spain and realised, wow, we actually have it so good in Ireland. In Spain the job market is terrible. Má tá bhí gurí postáil an seo sa Spáin go thuúfása compared to Ireland, and the corruption here in Spain. I'm sure we have corruption in Ireland as well. Tá some good corruption agin arás in Ireland, but not on the level here in Spain. The tolls, for example, I heard someone in Ireland giving out about the tolls on social media during the weekends. $3.50 for a toll in Ireland, €3 quaige. A lot of the tolls here in Spain are 30 or 40 euro, especially in the north of the country. Go hoirithe I dúscar na tíre. So there's always positives, negatives. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I just like to be positive and talk good about the place where I live. Is Matlam a bheith dearfach agus leabhart go maith faoi an áit a bhfuil mé I mo chónaí nó na háit in a congracht the place is close to me. I'll be doing the same in August when I'm back home in Ireland for a few weeks by méid déanú díreach an rud céanna agus mise in éireann ag leabhart's Laguna J. In mode no malach derfach, speaking in a positive way about Ireland when I'm back in a few weeks. More positivity, less negativity, less giving out, and be grateful for what we do have. A buick asna ruddy atá agin, because sure, giving out doesn't get you anywhere. Ag tuairt amach fi ruddy níl tú hun strecu ar ein áit wat sa sail as sin. Anyway, Arinos. Yeah, I guess just thinking about Andalusia, and if you have a map, you can kind of look at this from Seville. You can go west, and on the coastline, especially obviously this time of year, on Tom Shudds and Vleen during the summer, Rihan Tarry, it's so hot, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, Trucusach, Trucocht, Sochani, Carca Hain, Unsho is Seville. And to escape to the beach and for it to be 30 and have the water agus an tishka a bheith agat agus tá sé beidir trucha cem Celsius. It's so needed, and kind of everybody here is doing it almost every weekend, every second weekend, being like gach dower der shot. And then you realise as well, it's nice that especially this side of Andalusia, the other side towards Malaga, Marbella, all the kind of areas on the coast there, quite touristy, in the hostel and sin an ghosta tá along Torsori, Aun, and it can feel a bit fake. And again, as I said, I don't like giving out ní matlan bheith tuairt amach. I'm not going to say, oh, Marbella, Malaga, it's a kip, or it's just for tourists. Well, yeah, maybe it's more for tourists. There's loads of authentic places though there as well. Fear áits na Spáinnecha atá an sin freshen. And guess what? If you like going to Torremolinos and you like doing your 3 days and just being on the pints of San Miguel for the weekends, you're walking around in Marbella town and having the English breakfast or whatever, absolutely fine. That's brilliant. People should be able to do whatever they want. Buchart go make gach den an cad oil siad géirí déanú a dhéanú. That for me is way more positive than just saying, oh, that's nonsense. I personally prefer the more, I suppose, old school, going to parts of Spain that haven't really changed much over the years, like Dul go Hotsana, Knockwil, Ahri Homoron, Le Blinta Nus, Otsana, Knockwil more on Torsori, Otsana, Marhamplan Ye, or Nye Gaeilge, not yesterday, but 2 days ago. I don't think the full day, apart from the English I was speaking to a few of my friends, don't think I heard a single word of, not just English, but a single word of non-Spanish all day in the place we went in the Chapam, gur thula mé ein ochel nachrau Spanish an lá fad. So, yeah, looking at the map, you can go south down to Cádiz and to Jerez, and then all the little towns, which are probably even better than the cities. I mean, Jerez and Cádiz, especially Cádiz, are very cool. Jerez and Cádiz, thosaitheoirí cool, like on the Bali, Simple, Sanlúcar de Barrameda, San Fernando, Chiclana, Chipiona, Conil, La Frontera. I made some Balligs, just thought to an on Dolan Shin, Sahor. You can go there in the car, easy to get to, park up, you've got the beach, you've got a town, you've got great places to eat, odds in the Intaca, ad it's not like you have to go to one specific place or there's a very exclusive place. Stop anywhere there and you'll get good food. Especially let's stop away in Auchan Shane by too long be a ma at all. Very cheap on a sear, certainly compared to Ireland or different places in Spain. I always preface that with people here aren't making that much money. The so needs to tilla a lot in so probably works out the same. But if you're coming here on holidays, man thought talk them so early in the Sierra, let's be honest, it is quite cheap compared to at home. You know, yesterday we sat down, 4 of us, big meal, loads of different tapas, was full by the end. I think 2 beers each, €16 each, the final bill, €6 zeg, gach dinner on bill Zernach. So to be able to do that, to be able to go out west end to Huelva towards Portugal, Huigna, Ports and Gaeilge, and Punta Umbria, Islantia, Isla Cristina, on knots around Mudginier, all these little places by the coast. Again, just park up the car, go for a swim. The beaches are safe, they're local, they're chill. The Natrana, Anna Otsula, Dini Otsula, Sakas Mudja, you know, I'm very aware we aren't locals, but I'd like to think, well, we all still speak the language and make the effort and like the culture and like living here. Is Matlin of it in Argonian Shaw, Tontanga, Agin, Agsmershinja, and we try to respect that as much as possible as opposed to just being Irish or Brits abroad, because we'll have Éireannig Harlar and the Vratanig Harlar. People, again, the Spanish would view us and the Brits the same. Is stocha is Sula na Spáinnig vech mudza agus na Bratanig mar an Géine, so that's why I kind of say it like that. Make sure not to do that. And again, I don't know, small stuff, like not if we're speaking English together, not speak it too loud because you can be seen as foreigners and whatever. But ein rud cosúil leis sin. But yeah, I guess just feeling really grateful and looking around and thinking, wow, this is what's so cool about us, that you can go to these places. And in the age of hyper-tourism, array, like tourism on the war, you see Barcelona, Mallorca, the protests happening there. And, I have different views and I'm not fully sure really of those protests, correct? Neil Sogam really will not have good sin cart, but I understand why they're going on. Tá Sogam agus Tigam Cian Fá a will sheed Shul. But I guess I look at it and think, wow, you look at Spain, the map, Spain, Barcelona, Mallorca, Ibiza, the Canaries, they're such small places and compared to the rest of Spain. Odds and an of Yuga atá unto I gcomhpháirtíocht leis an gcuid and Spain. I can't encourage people enough. Ní féidirlumm like an átsa a wulu an Lummerca Stocha. I can't recommend or praise this place enough. If you want to come on a holiday to Spain and you don't want to do the normal kind of I suppose touristy places or Malaga, Torremolinos or Barça or whatever. And if you like those places, brilliant. But if you want more, I suppose, authentic experience, that we on fear hahi na Spáine of agad, can't recommend enough. Flying into Faro, Seville, Jerez. Even if you're listening from the UK, I think there's a few flights from the UK to Jerez. Ceapan Gúil Beidir Cúpla on Déanta Jerez. I might not be right about that, a chance not will on Ceisteanna for shin. But even land in Seville, loads of flights from everywhere. In Ireland, you can fly from Cork or Dublin, or you can fly to Faro, just across the border, Zurich Trasna, on Sauron, from Knock, Shannon, Dublin, Cork, and Belfast, O'Vale Fairsta, Knock, Airfort na Shonana, on St. Blocklia, Kirkig, almost every airport in Ireland you can fly to Faro at some point during the week. Megan a written shatra. Fly to Faro, Seville, Jerez, and rent a car. Only not going to cost much, €30 a day or something, €30 in Iron Lay. Drive down to the coast, an hour and a half, or Gillette, even less, or Beidir Níosliú. And you can, honestly, don't worry about which pueblo, which town to stop in any of them. On the way to get breakfast, stop in any of them on the coast, go for a swim, chill out on the beach. You can leave your stuff, it's safe. Tá an the ruddy ágal and shin. Tá sé sábailte, pick a random bar to sit down in, have a beer, have some of the local food, you chat to locals if you have some Spanish or if they have a bit of English. A lot of them probably won't. Chance má nach mai mBéarla ag lá nach chu. Go to Seville City, go to Cadiz City. Cadiz City is a gem, maybe the best city in Spain. Chance go say mar an chachar far sa Spáin ó ceans na Cathracha is far sa Spáin. And it's just real experience. You don't have the hyper tourism like other places. Níl an tuairisíocht cos Chanel. If you come September, October, April somewhat, but definitely May and June, the weather's perfect on Leimshire Firfa. Maybe a bit too hot this time of the year. Beds are beaglín roiche on Tom, so then Feline. It's not that expensive. You'll be able to find accommodation cheaper than other places by Tualan, Lochtín, all ní Sira, na Hots and Ella. I can't recommend enough if that's what you're into. And just really had a moment there at the weekend, really being grateful. And again, looking at the map, I'm only talking about places in Western and Southern, Western Andalusia, because it's so big, as well as that. Places not on the coast, Ochna, Will, Arangosta, on the other side of Andalusia, Granada, Jaén, Cordoba, as well, going over all the way to Almeria. I had a friend who went on holidays to Almeria, tá caragam, agus hui sé late in the Sierra, ga Almeria Nuri last year, and he said it was unbelievable, amazing. If you're into the Western films, they filmed a lot of them out there. It's such an amazing province, and this podcast is sponsored by visitandalusia.es now, but it really is, and there's so many different places to go. And again, if you're into going to Barcelona, Mallorca, or going to Rome, or going to whatever, what's the other place in Italy people always go to? Sorrento. Fine, no bother. I'm sure people love that. I think when I'm older I'll enjoy that more. Captain there Tommy Nishina, when he may need small shin. But if you're looking for more authentic experience that's less hassle in a lot of ways, smaller airports, easier to get around, cheaper, less tourism, get treated nicer, I'd say, because you're seen as the foreigner coming in a nice way. You know, you've chosen to visit their place. Tourists definitely get treated nicer in Seville than in Barca. Gan doubt tá wadní smó mass ag daoine an so daoine áitsúla touristeoirí ná mar tá in Barcelona, in my opinion, in my Hirmsha, as someone who's lived in both places, mar duine atá tar éis a bheith in Mahoney sa dá áit. I cannot recommend coming down here enough to Huelva, the Cadiz, to the cities, but rent a car, go to the towns. It's kind of like, it's kind of like Ireland, that you won't really see much just by going around on the buses, trains. Cosúil éire, má tá tú in éireann, níl tú chun mór an eicil, just ar na musanna, agus ar na trainacha, you'll just see, Dublin, Galway City, Limerick City, the Aran Islands maybe, one of those tours. But if you have a car, being able to go to Clifton, being able to go to Killybegs, being able to go to Bundoor and these places that aren't really served, sometimes brilliant by public transport, na hotsna so nachhfuil nascana intacha umper paibli acub. So I can't recommend enough coming here and again exploring different places. I'm sure it's the same in, if you go to Valencia, fly into Valencia and just go to the towns up and down the coast for the more real experience. For again, let's be honest, money is tight for a lot of people. A lot you need to arget Zacher to be able to find a little town on the coast a bit cheaper, especially if you come out of season. Gohoria Mahintu and Saint even with and peak season, a lot of the Spanish they'll only holiday in August. In September, October, they see it as almost too cool, as in not warm enough. You'll need to cover session to go on holidays to these places. But for us, it's still 20-25 degrees. September, October, May, June, even perfect months to go. So, and if anybody has any questions, again, I don't know how this has turned into basically an advertisement almost for Andalusia or Spain. Níls tagum cin chuí ó se seo tar éis éirí mar advertisement mar fógra le haid Andalusia, but or in Spain. But if you have any questions, if you're looking for recommendations and somewhere to go or advice, shoot me a message on Instagram, shoot me a message on email, speisialta Instagram, or refus liam.learnirishonline @gmail.com. The Instagram is Learn Irish Online. More than happy to help people out as well, because I'd love people to have the same experience. Obviously, my experience is different. Tá mahahi bigni tifrul as someone living here and knowing people from here. And that's one of the good things about getting to know people from here. Sin Cianchan ruddy as far mBéarla atna a chur dhaoine an seo is getting places recommended to you and them showing you the proper real places, being slig mulu áitsna chuits agus being si beidir ag dul leat chuig áit seo an fear hahi seo, by Bígí and so they'll have great food here and so on. But even for holidays it'd be even better because you can kick loose and let your hair down, or kick loose Kevin sin on fogalornta that she needs jacker them. Sometimes it's harder for me to think of the phrase in English rather than Irish because I'm speaking so much Irish and Spanish nowadays. Been make lots on mates in Spanish agus on mates in Gaeilge na leanúint seo. But to kick back, to kick back and let loose and kind of go out every night, or go out eating every night, or go to the beach every day or whatever and make the most of it. So can't recommend enough. I'm just really grateful to be living here on the Bhuíoch on the Ve in Mahoney and Shaw. And that's not even mentioned crossing the border to Portugal. You're in the Algarve. There's places in the Algarve, obviously, that are very touristy. I'm sure there's places that aren't just touristy. And even the touristy ones, so what? Still get a great experience. Still very nice to have a meal by the sea in Albufeira or Viamora or Faro or wherever. So that's it, guys. Sinné. Gurmila Maggie, as of Gaeilge the Glash on Bud Crayla. Big thank you as always for listening to the podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope you'll continue to listening to Gaeilge Weekly in the future. Thosaitheoirí agus tá mé agsúil go maith éisteacht le Gaeilge Weekly sa tauki. As always, loads more stuff available on the membership, patreon.com/learnirishonline. A wad níos more really le fáil hall ar Patreon. But I'll speak to you guys next week. Thank you for listening to episode 104. Gurmila Maggie as éisteacht le hagran céad is cahar slán agus bannacht. Goodbye and God bless.
Why must I turn around? I